Pretty Girl Club, welcome back to the Beluga series, and in this video I'm going to talk about how you're fat because you do not listen to your body. I hear a lot of fat people saying like, oh, people disrespect me, they're fat phobic, they don't treat me right because I'm fat, and it's like, well, sis, you don't treat yourself right. How do you expect anybody else to respect your body when you don't even respect it yourself? You don't even care enough about your own health to the point where you're literally neglecting your physical body, and then you get mad when the media neglects your body. You get mad when the healthcare system neglects your body. So do you see the extreme hypocrisy? Why is it that the people who take care of themselves the least always expect the quote unquote privileged people, they expect the thin privileged people to come to their defense? And it's like, no, sis, you're not even coming to your own defense. And that's just another symptom of not listening to your body. Like when it comes to food, if I do not have the symptoms of hunger, I'm not hungry. So if my stomach is not growling, if I'm not feeling weak or tired, if I'm not feeling faint, if I don't have a huge dip in energy, then I'm not hungry. Tell me your dress size and I will tell you your portion size. If you're a size large, you eat large portions. Size medium, you eat medium-sized portions. If you're an extra small, it's because you eat extra small portions. A lot of people think their weight comes from not working out enough. Like, oh, that's why I'm fat. It's because I don't work out 5 times a week. No, you're 200 pounds because you eat like a 200-pound person. I said what I said. You have the lifestyle and the habits of a 200-pound person. Stop gaslighting yourself or lying to yourself saying that you're not that big. That's one of the main lies that big women tell themselves. Oh, I'm not that big. I'm not as big as so-and-so. If you're fat, it's because you eat like a fat person. And some people are like, oh, well, Exoticals United, I have PCOS, I have issues with my metabolism. Okay, so now you're telling me that not only are you fat, but you're also lazy because you're neglecting your health by not going to the doctor to get those things under control. So no matter what, it's your fault. Your body is your responsibility. It's not the responsibility of the FDA to keep you healthy and skinny. No, America runs on capitalism. So anytime people are blaming the system, like they're blaming the types of foods that they sell in the stores, that's an external locus of control. Because nobody is holding a weapon to your head forcing you to purchase the snacks at Walmart. Nobody's forcing you to buy that shit. Nobody told you to eat an entire bag of Cheetos for lunch. You don't need to eat an entire bag of Cheetos. Why are you craving? If you're craving that much salt, if you're one of those people who eats a whole bunch of chips and you're craving salt, get some electrolytes. That has sodium in it. That's a natural version of sodium that's more healthy and it's lower calorie. If you're craving something crunchy, air fry your vegetables. It helps make the vegetables a little bit more crunchy. There are so many different options other than just processed foods. So that's another thing that gets on my nerves is when people, they try to blame the Food and Drug Administration, knowing damn well that the United States is a capitalistic country. And the food industry is literally created so they can get you to purchase more of their foods. They're not thinking about your health. When you go to a restaurant, saying things like, oh, well, this restaurant is just unhealthy, so that's why I'm fat. Okay, well, maybe you should have some discipline and not go to the restaurant. Clearly, you don't know how to control yourself. And for those of you who say like, oh, I can eat whatever I want. No, some of you guys cannot eat whatever you want because you don't know how to portion control. So if you don't know how to portion control, you are not yet disciplined enough to be able to still go out to the restaurants and control yourself. So just be honest with yourself. Be honest with where you're at. Like in my case, I know that there are some times where I cannot control myself around fatty foods. So peanut butter, almond butter, even guacamole, anything that has kind of this creamy texture and it's like very fatty and very calorie dense. Sometimes I have a hard time controlling myself. I've literally binged before on guacamole and peanut butter. So I'm able to be honest with myself. I don't lie and try to pretend like I'm just perfectly healthy all the time. Have you ever noticed that it's always the big people that want to suddenly come into my comment section and pretend like they know everything about nutrition? They want to come into my comment section and pretend that they know everything about health. And then they want to say that my channel is pro-Anna. No, you guys are the ones that have the EDs because obesity is definitely an ED. It's definitely a mental illness. And a part of mental illness is lying to yourself. So stop lying and pretending like you know how to control yourself at a restaurant when you don't. Stop pretending like you know how to portion control when you don't. I don't care if you're working out at the gym for 5 hours a day. If you work out, let's say you work out at the gym for 5 hours a day, the most you're going to burn is what? 500, 1,000 calories at best? So if you're eating thousands upon thousands of calories per day, if you're eating upwards of 15 to 20,000 calories per week, no amount of exercise is going to cancel that out. So that's another common mistake of big people. They're not listening to their bodies. So they're eating past the point of fullness, which you're not supposed to do, by the way. Anytime your body sends you hunger signals, you're mixing up hunger signals with binging signals. Like a lot of people who are big, they don't know the difference between eating and binging. They think that because the plate has all this food on it, that, that they have to eat all of it. No, if you're eating mountains of food, your stomach is going to look like a mountain. That's one of my rules, by the way. When it comes to my portion sizes, my portions should not look like a mountain. When I get a handful of chips, if I were to put those chips on a plate, it should not look like a mountain. Okay, I'm in the middle of editing this right now, but I wanted to say, not only do I not eat mountains of food, but I always should be able to see the plate. If my entire plate is covered to where I can't see the bottom of the plate, okay, well, you will never be able to see the bottom of my stomach. You'll never be able to see the bottom of my ab muscles because that's how much food I'm eating. If I have giant lumps of food on my plate, I'm going to have lumps on my stomach. I'm going to have lumps on the back of my legs. Eating double portions means double the calories, double the fat, double the carbs, and double the amount of work it's going to take for me to lose that weight. If you have mountains and giant lumps of food on your plate, that's exactly what your stomach is going to look like. You're going to have giant lumps and giant mountains hanging off of the sides of your body. You're going to have mountains of back fat, rolls upon rolls. Yeah, it's because you ate a lot of rolls. That's why you have rolls. Oh, why do I have fat hanging off the sides of my back? Well, it's because you eat food hanging off the side of the plate. That's why. You are what you eat, right? If you eat everything out of the refrigerator, you'll be shaped like a refrigerator. If you eat like a linebacker, you'll be shaped like a linebacker. A lot of people are clean bulking and they don't know it. So they're eating like a linebacker. They're eating healthy foods in excess. So it's causing them to bulk up and get really big like a football player, like a linebacker. They look like they're about to tackle somebody. They look like they're about to give somebody a concussion because that's how big their shoulders are. That's how big their back is after eating pounds upon pounds of rice. So when it comes to being skinny, I'm listening to my body. Like, is my stomach growling? Because if not, I'm not hungry. And another thing too is a lot of people, they eat based on time. Like, oh, well, it's noon. It's lunchtime at work. So if I don't eat now, I won't be able to eat for the rest of the day. That is a scarcity mindset. Nobody at your cubicle is forcing you to starve yourself. So stop using your lunch break as an excuse to binge. Oh, it's lunchtime, so, I'm going to be busy the rest of the afternoon, so I won't have time to eat, so I might as well eat now. No, if you're eating when you're not hungry, you're most likely gaining weight. I said what I said. And also, you're stretching out your stomach. You're contributing to stretching out your stomach, and you're probably doing it either out of boredom or out of habit. A stretched out stomach is going to lead to stretch marks later. Oh, well, Exoticals United, I have stretch marks. Yeah, that's because you ate so much food to the point where your body could not keep up with the weight gain. And so your skin was literally stretching itself out to accommodate your overeating. Maybe you're stressed out at work, and so you're eating based on anxiety. If you're one of those people that does a lot of snacking at work, that's anxiety. That's why you're eating like that. It's because the stress of the job, the anxiety of being there, it's causing you to seek comfort. And you're trying to seek comfort by having that full feeling in your stomach. You're addicted to feeling full. And by the way, I'm going to show a chart of what the portion sizes are supposed to be. So when it comes to carbs, a lot of people become fat entirely based on carbs. When you go to a diner and you get a burger and fries, you do know that one serving is supposed to be the size of about the palm of your hand. You do know that the size of your stomach is actually pretty small, right? It's what? The size of one fist, 2 fists at most? So if you're getting just one plate of a burger and fries, you're already about 4 times over the amount of carbs you should be having. So why are you surprised when your stomach is 4 times bigger than the average person? You shouldn't be surprised. So the way that I look at it is, okay, however many extra servings I have, that's what size I'm going to be. Okay, so if I have 2 extra servings, I'm going to probably be a 2X. If I have 3 extra servings and keep eating like that, I'll be a size 3X. If you struggle with needing to feel full, eat volume foods. You can have a whole bunch of strawberries. That's low calorie. You can have a whole bunch of like lettuce, cabbage, watermelon. Those are better options if you want to do volume eating. If you're one of those people that struggles with feeling empty, by the way, I don't know why you're so scared of hunger. A lot of people, they're literally scared of hunger. They think they're about to pass out. It's like, sis, you have hundreds of thousands of stored up calories in your inner thighs right now. You got hundreds of thousands of extra calories in your stomach already. So trust me, you're not going to pass out. The only thing that's going to happen is your body is going to start eating its own fat, which is really what you want anyway. And I hear some belugas saying, oh, well, if I don't eat, I'm going to be hangry. I'm going to have a mood swing. Okay, well, bitch, you need to figure out some emotional regulation coping mechanisms. That sounds more like an emotional problem as opposed to a food problem, because if you're already obese, you're probably never hungry. You probably don't even know what hunger feels like. If you're already overweight, you most likely don't know what hunger even feels like because you're eating when you're not hungry. That's why they call it being overweight. If you overeat, you will be overweight. That's why both of those words start with the same phrase, over. Overeating leads to being overweight. So if you're getting hangry, or let's say you're having these mood swings, having a mood swing, it's not the same thing as like being hangry. Because remember, if you're hangry, you also have the physical symptoms of hunger. So an empty stomach, you're feeling weak, like you don't have any energy at all. But if you're simply in a bad mood, you better get a journal. You better call or text somebody. You better watch or listen to some binaural beats or some meditation music or some shit. Like, why do people use food to solve their emotional problems? Food is not going to cure your depression. It's actually going to make it worse, because with every bite you take of something unhealthy, with every bite you overeat, you are getting further and further away from your goals. Not to mention the fact that you're probably dysregulating your hormones if you're eating a lot of like processed food with random stuff in it. If you're eating a lot of animal products and those animals have been pumped with hormones. Don't even get me started on that. You're so concerned about the FDA, you're so concerned about the food industry, yet you still continue to eat thousands of calories per day of processed food. It's the hypocrisy for me. But whenever I'm having a craving, because that's really what that is. You're not hangry, you're just having a craving. So a craving is more like you start thinking about a specific food, like cupcakes or something. If I'm having something like that, all I have to do is change my mindset. Like, hey, cravings are temporary. This desire for a cupcake is temporary. But my desire to have a healthy body, that's more of a permanent desire. So which desire do I want to fulfill? A temporary one or a permanent one? So remember, a craving is not a command. Just because you crave something doesn't mean you have to actually act on it. I'm not a slave to my cravings. I'm not a slave to my thoughts. My thoughts do not define me. I have control over my own mind. I have discipline. A lot of people stereotype bigger people as being undisciplined because they are undisciplined. They're undisciplined with their diet. They're undisciplined when they go grocery shopping. They walk down the aisle, they see a whole bunch of shiny packages with Doritos on them or popcorn or whatever, and then they just start buying it. And so they're sabotaging themselves with their own grocery shopping. That's another thing. If you are a fat person, it's because you grocery shop like a fat person. You buy the same foods that fat people buy when they go to the store. That's why you are fat. Look at the people on My 600-Pound Life. Look at the types of food they eat. Pizza, burgers, sausage, egg, and cheese muffins, fried and processed meats. They eat a lot of pork on that show. Okay, so if you're eating those types of food on a daily basis, if you're eating those types of foods, guess what? You're going down the same path as a person on My 600-Pound Life. It's because you're eating the same thing as fat people. You're walking down the same aisles. Look at the people's body types who are walking down the candy aisles. Start looking at their body types. Look at the body types of the people in the checkout line who have a cart filled with processed food. Look at their body types. Start examining your surroundings. This is why I say that a lot of people, they're literally just not very smart because they're not observing their surroundings. They're not understanding that if you're a size large, it's because you eat large portions. That's why they named that dress size a size large. That's what they're saying. They're saying in the fashion industry, okay, a woman around this size probably eats large portions, so let me make a dress in the size large so I can fit her stomach in it. So it's like, Are you not understanding the meaning of words? Like, people need to get back to reading, okay? Reading is fundamental. People need to get back to observing their environment. So look at the people in the checkout line, look at what's in their carts. I remember when I was working a job, I was working for a beluga at my accounting job. It was the one who tried to copy my diet because she was observing her surroundings. She understood the fact that I had a nice body and she wanted to have a body like mine, so she tried to copy me. But you know what? I also paid attention to her diet and I was like, wow, I don't want to eat like that. So whatever you see bigger people eating on a regular basis, avoid their habits at all costs. I want you to start looking at them. Start watching your bigger family members, your bigger friends, or random people at the store, random people at restaurants. Look at what they're eating, look at how they're eating, and look at their portion sizes. And I want you to start doing the opposite of that. So, like in my case, the lady at my job who was a beluga, she was eating pizza pockets for breakfast. There was another lady at one of my jobs. She would always have like the sausage, egg, and cheese McMuffins for her breakfast. Then around 11 a.m., she would have another one. And everything she had was processed. It was always something from the microwave, something that you microwave. It was always processed meat. So I learned just by observation what not to do. And also, when it comes to hunger, a lot of you guys are not hungry. You're just thirsty. So drink some water, drink some herbal tea, put some stevia in it if you need to. That is 0 calorie. Put some stevia in it. Drink something that has electrolytes in it. I'm not talking about Gatorade or something that's super high sugar. I'm talking about another option. Get a giant thing of water and put some electrolytes in there. So it's mostly water. You're kind of diluting it a little bit. So drinking water, filling your stomach with a healthy liquid like water or herbal tea, that's going to curb your appetite naturally. So that way you don't have to rely on pills and stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, like appetite suppressant pills, those can work, but if you look at the ingredients in the appetite suppressant pills, usually the ingredients are things like green tea. So even though I have some of those myself, some of those little vitamins, I understand that, hey, this pill, it's really just a green tea pill. It really just has like caffeine or something in it. It has something that naturally suppresses my appetite. Black coffee suppresses your appetite. But be careful though with black coffee. Some of you guys might be sensitive to caffeine, kind of like me. So I can only have maybe about 1 cup of coffee per day, just like 1 cup of black coffee. So start to look up and research what some of the natural appetite suppressants are. Protein naturally works as an appetite suppressant because it keeps you very full. Like boiled eggs, if you were to eat that in the morning, that's going to help to keep you full. Stretching and doing yoga poses, that naturally suppresses your appetite. Doing the cat-cow pose where you get on all fours and you arch your back and then you hunch your back, that naturally helps to suppress your appetite. You can do some different stretches. You can like take a walk. Did you know that walking actually, it helps to keep your hunger hormones in check? So sitting on your ass all day, that's actually going to make you hungrier. So that makes sense as to why you would be super hungry when you're at work. It's because you're sitting on your butt all day in a cubicle. So maybe if you actually got up and walked around every hour, then you wouldn't be so hungry. Like when I used to work at a cubicle, on my 15-minute break, I was doing a walk. Whenever I went to the bathroom at work, I would be like marching in place sometimes or doing squats when I'm in the stall. I'm more on the extreme side though. Like you don't have to do all that. But even something simple like getting a standing desk, that kind of stuff helps you to naturally burn calories. But remember, you don't want to rely on burning calories off. It's so much easier. Actually, I'm not even going to recommend you trying to burn a whole bunch of calories off. Just eat less calories. Then you don't have anything to burn off. It's not a problem anymore because you're not eating an excess amount of calories. The reason that you're trying to burn calories off is because you know that you ate too many calories. You know that you ate hella calories, and so now you're playing catch up and you're trying to burn off that extra 500 calorie donut you had. Don't do that. How about you just say no to the donut, or you eat a smaller portion size of the donut? Cut the donut in half. Take a bite of the donut. Have 1/4 of the donut now, and then wait 15 minutes. So you want to listen to your body. By the way, eating high sugar foods is going to cause you to have a sugar crash, and it's going to create a false hunger symptom because one of the symptoms of hunger is having low energy. So when you eat sugar, it crashes your energy. So you're going to mistake that as you being hungry later on. That's why a lot of people, when they have fast food and stuff, they're still hungry a couple hours later. Yeah, it's because they had that sugar crash, because what they ate had a bunch of processed sweets. And so now they're having these fake hunger signals like, oh, I have low energy, like I'm super tired. You're mixing that up with hunger when in reality it's because you simply ate the wrong item. You ate the wrong food. You did not fuel yourself. Food is supposed to be a form of fuel. Food is not your therapist. Food is not your emotional support. It's not your comfort. And if I'm having a hard time focusing at work, because that's another hunger signal, is lack of focus, like you're having a hard time concentrating. If I'm having a hard time concentrating, I will try to stimulate my senses naturally, because if you have a hard time with that, a lot of times you're eating food because you want the sensation of having something crunchy in your mouth. You want the sensory pleasure that comes with actually tasting and biting the food. So if I just want to stimulate my senses, I will use some essential oil. Like I will start diffusing some essential oil. Maybe I will spray some room spray or something. So I'm naturally getting a sensation without having to actually eat food. I will go outside and just like stand on my patio and kind of look at the sunlight. I'm stimulating my senses without using food as the number one source of stimulation. I will turn on some music. Like, you know how they have brown noise and stuff like that, or like the binaural beats? I will turn on something like that to help me focus. So I don't want to always be reaching for food as the solution to my problems. Whatever problem you're having, if it's not a weight loss problem, you don't need to be eating any food. And something random I noticed from watching a lot of fat YouTubers, like the What I Eat in a Day videos, a lot of them will be eating food and they'll be like moaning and groaning and basically like making sex noises because that's how much they're enjoying the taste of the food. First of all, it's like, okay, is your life that bad to the point where the most pleasurable thing in the day is food? So much so to the point where you're literally moaning and groaning just eating the food? That shows me that you are living your life basically in a depressive type of state. And the only thing that gives you that true dopamine is the food. So you need another source of dopamine. If you're the type of person who moans and groans when you eat food, or you're dancing in a circle because you ate something that tasted good, find something else to dance about. Find something in your life that is worth dancing over. Find something in your life that is worth moaning and groaning over in pleasure. Because you don't want your brain to associate food with being your main source of pleasure. That's how a lot of people become obese, and that's why they say that it literally is a mental illness. Something else I started to get out of too was using food as a reward. Food is not my reward. I'm not a dog. I'm not a zoo animal. I'm not a beluga. So I get to have other rewards besides food. So sometimes what I will do is, like, if I want to reward myself for something, I can get a clothing item, I can journal, I can take the day off. Maybe I'll take a vacation, because I don't want my brain to associate food with being the main source of like winning. I don't want food to be the prize. Remember, whatever it is that you're viewing as a reward, you see that thing as a prize. So guess what? Food is not the prize. Bitch, I'm the prize. I'm the main character in my life. A piece of cake is not the star of my life. The fuck? I'm the star of my own life. I'm not about to allow some donuts to come in and destroy my future and destroy my skin, because, by the way, it's causing you acne. It's causing your cooter to smell bad. Because remember, sugar, that's how yeast infections start, by the way. So yeast, all the yeast in your body, that's feeding on sugar. It's basically a bunch of bad bacteria building up in your body. And guess what it feeds off of? Processed foods, sugar, processed meats. So no, I'm not going to walk around with a stanky cooter, stanky breath. You know how some people have like the horrible breath when they wake up? Yeah, that's from their diet. You know how some people have really bad BO? There's a reason why some people stereotype big people as smelling bad. Well, it's because if you eat a bunch of processed food, you're going to smell bad, because all those nasty ass chemicals and maggots and worms that are in your stomach, yeah, that's what people are smelling on your body. So it's like, no, I'm not going to eat a whole bunch of donuts and cupcakes and stuff that feeds yeast in my body, or something that causes candida, cavities, halitosis, having that stank ass breath. It's because you have freaking cavities where your teeth are literally rotting. How much sugar do I have to be eating to the point where my actual teeth are rotting and falling out of my mouth because I don't know how to put down a cupcake? Do you see how bad foods literally can destroy your life? Oh, well, Exoticals United, there's no such thing as bad foods. Yes, there is. Remember how you guys are talking about the FDA and how they're trying to sabotage you? Okay, so that's the quote unquote bad food then. So if you know that the FDA is trying to sabotage your ass, why would you continue to eat it? It's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to eat myself into death. I'm not going to eat myself into acne. I'm not going to eat my way into being bloated. I'm not going to eat my way into having a double chin. Do you know how many enemies I have just based off of this YouTube channel alone? Do you know how many enemies I've created by coming on here and being honest? Do you know how many people would love to see me looking horrible and being obese? So for some of you guys, you have haters who are waiting for your back to get big. They're waiting for that muffin top to come out. They're waiting for your side profile to look like an iguana. They can't wait to see you with the turkey neck. It's like, no, I'm not going to give those haters the satisfaction of seeing me look bad. Me being skinny is a flex. I said what I said. So yes, I love the fact that even if I'm having a bad day, I look in the mirror and I still see someone who looks beautiful looking back at me. Yes, that's my source of comfort. Ice cream is not my source of emotional comfort. If I want emotional comfort, I can use my own success as emotional comfort. I can use my own discipline. For those of you who have this type A personality, maybe you struggle with control issues, you're a controlling person, guess what? Use that energy to control yourself. I mean, I'm an ENTJ, so us ENTJs, we're known to be controlling. But for me, instead of trying to control other people, I love to control myself. Seriously, it brings me pleasure to be disciplined because I know that I'm going to be a bad bitch in 6 months. You know, like if I start planning for myself, if I start making a plan, like, okay, in 6 months I'm going to do this, guess what? I'm going to enjoy every minute of the planning process. I love planning my own level up. I love being able to like romanticize my life. I love writing down all of my plans and thinking about what I'm going to do and strategizing about how I'm going to have a nice body. So a lot of people, they're fat because they are not strategic. Your diet is a form of social strategy. Okay, listening to my body, that's a part of my social strategy. I'm intuitive. That's a part of my feminine intuition. A lot of people talk so much about femininity. You talk so much about having a feminine intuition, you don't even know how to intuitively eat without being obese. By the way, intuitive eating, my theory on that is that that only works for people who have a healthy body. That only works if you're like already skinny, because people who are already skinny, we already know how to listen to our body. But if you're fat, if you're a beluga, you don't know what hunger feels like. Tell me the last time you were hungry. If you cannot tell me the last time you physically felt hunger, you do not know how to intuitively eat. You don't know how to control your own body. So you have to start listening to your body. What symptoms does your body get when you are hungry? Because if I start feeling the symptoms of hunger, remember those symptoms can also be caused by something else besides hunger. So if I feel a stomach growl, I start to ask myself a couple questions like, okay, when was the last time I ate? If I just ate an hour ago and my stomach is growling, I'm probably not hungry. I'm probably just digesting the food. So that's another thing. Like some people, they think that because they have one symptom, oh, it's automatically hunger. No, sometimes it's also thirst. So having low energy, that's a symptom of hunger. But whenever I have low energy, I ask myself, okay, did I eat sugar? That's the first question I ask myself if I have low energy. When was the last time I had processed food? Did I just have something processed a couple hours ago? Because that's why I don't have any energy now. It's because I'm having a sugar crash. So having a donut, when you eat a donut, you're eating one big giant sugar crash. You're going to have no energy 2 hours later. Whenever I eat a cupcake, that's what I'm thinking about. Like, okay, this is going to destroy my energy. So when I'm on vacation, for example, because that's when a lot of women like to turn into belugas, is when they get on vacation. They want to act like a supermodel when they're like at work or when they're at home. But as soon as they get on vacation, that's when the big back comes out. That's when they start eating like a hippopotamus because, oh, I'm on vacation. No, if I'm on vacation, I want to enjoy my vacation. So I want to have energy. I don't want to go and just get a giant serving of ice cream when I know I'm going to be walking 5 miles because I'm backpacking in Spain. So I need that fuel so I can go see the sights. I need fuel so I can go swimming and, have the energy to swim. And if you have a boyfriend, you want to have energy to like have sex if that's what you want to do. Or like, so I think about stuff like that when I'm making my food choices. So that's a form of me listening to my body. I understand the consequences that come with every bite. This is why a lot of skinny women are really good at just taking one bite. They will take one bite of the cupcake. So they still got to enjoy the cupcake, but they had one bite. So they're not going to have a giant sugar crash because they didn't have a giant cupcake. If you have a giant sugar crash, it's because you had a giant amount of sugar. If you have a giant stomach, it's because you're filling your stomach with giant amounts of food. If you're built like a refrigerator, it's because you eat everything out of the refrigerator. If you eat a lot of foods that are bright and colorful and vibrant, your skin is going to probably be bright. If you're eating a lot of fruit, your skin is probably going to be bright, just like the fruit you've been eating. If you eat a lot of foods that have high water content, like watermelon and cucumber, you're probably going to be hydrated. Your body is going to have high water content. So that's what I like to think about when I'm looking at those foods. So when I look at muffins, I'm thinking to myself, okay, if I eat a lot of muffins, I'm going to be shaped like a muffin. Do I want to have a muffin top? Do I want to be shaped like that? Okay, so then I'm not doing it. I'm not eating it. Or I'm just going to eat one bite. That's a way that I like to listen to my body. So remember, if you want to be a 120-pound person, you have to eat like a 120-pound person. First of all, how many calories per day does a 120-pound person eat? You should know that number. If you don't know that number, you're not going to be 120 pounds. I said what I said. You didn't even do the basic calculations of how many calories, how many macros you're supposed to be having if you want to have that weight. So that's another thing too. A lot of people who are big, they're not tracking anything. And I'm not saying you have to count calories. I actually do not count calories. The only calories that I tend to estimate are when I have processed foods. So I do kind of track that a little bit more because I know that processed foods are not good for my body. So I track that to try to protect myself. Having a good diet, that's a form of self-preservation. That is a form of self-protection. Not only am I protecting my physical body, I'm protecting my health, I'm protecting my beauty, and I'm also protecting my social status. Yeah, I said what I said. Being thin is a form of social status because thin privilege exists. And it's not going anywhere, by the way. So you being fat in order to prove you're a good person, not only is that idiotic, but that's not going to help anybody. All you're doing is causing yourself to suffer. So it's like, no, I don't want myself to suffer socially. I don't want to be suffering with a whole bunch of body insecurities. Women who have nice bodies, generally speaking, they're confident in their body. They may not have perfect confidence, but they're probably more confident than somebody who's obese. I said what I said. Because your diet and your food habits, that's a reflection of what you think of yourself. So if I'm eating like I don't care, yeah, it's because I don't care about my body. That's why I'm eating like that. But if I'm eating in a way that is mindful and strategic, it's because I'm mindful and strategic about my body. Another thing I like to do, and it helps me listen to my body, is I wear form-fitting clothes. Okay, because wearing like some snug jeans or like, I'm not saying too tight, but wearing form-fitting clothing, that makes me very aware of my body. So I'm going to notice even the smallest amount of bloating. If I'm wearing a halter top, if I'm wearing some jeans, even if I'm at home, if I'm wearing like a form-fitting shirt, like right now, I'm sitting at home, I'm wearing a form-fitting spaghetti strap shirt with some form-fitting leggings. So if I were to bloat, if I walk past myself in the mirror, I will immediately see my bloating because I'm wearing leggings. So you can see like the stomach shape. So if my stomach is shaped like a bowling ball, it's because I probably just ate a bowling ball portion size. That's why my stomach is shaped like that. So wearing form-fitting clothes, that helps me to stay aware of my body. And then also, when I'm following influencers on social media, I'm not going to follow people who are participating in binge culture. So the mukbangs or that girl that ate the Chipotle bowl in 7 bites, that's not the type of content I'm following. Because I don't want those subliminal messages to get into my psyche. You guys know that I'm a very big proponent of like subliminal messaging. Like I study that stuff. I study psychology and sociology on a daily basis. So I understand the power of subliminal messaging. This is why whenever I make content, I try to only show images that will inspire you to be more feminine or like to kind of look like the women in the images, because I don't even want images of unhealthy women to even get in your subconscious mind. So when I'm following people on Instagram, I don't have any mukbangs on my For You page. No, I have skinny content on my For You page. I have women who have healthy bodies on my Pinterest. I have outfit ideas on my Pinterest because I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is the type of outfit I'm going to wear. And so I want my body to reflect somebody who looks good in a halter top. If I've got shoulders like a linebacker and a double chin, that is not going to make me feel confident in my halter top. So I try to save like images that will just help me to keep the vision in front of me, if that makes sense. It's almost like a little vision board. Your social media, whoever you're following, your For You page, that is a vision board. I want you to start thinking of it that way because that's basically what it is. That's the path you're going down. Whatever's on your For You page, that's the path you are being led down subconsciously. So what's popping up on your TikTok? What is popping up on your Instagram? Is it a bunch of ads for McDonald's? Yeah, that's because they think you're a big back. That's why they're giving their advertisement to you, because they know that Keisha is going to eat Popeyes. They know that TT and them are going to eat Popeyes. So that's why they're advertising it to you, because they think of you as Big Shirley. So they're like, oh, let's advertise Popeyes to her. Let's advertise all these bakeries to her because she's going to eat it. She can't resist some chocolate. She can't resist the ice cream. So I'm going to advertise this on her For You page. That's a sign that you're a big back. If you are the target audience of McDonald's, you are a big back, or you are on your way to becoming one. You're becoming bigger and bigger. I can tell you that for sure. But if you notice your For You page has a lot of advertisements of like protein bars and like stuff that helps you to lose weight, or I don't know, stuff that's like balancing your hormones, or healthy foods like 0 calorie. I just recently discovered that there's an entire market of foods that are all like 0 calories, 0 sugar, because that pops up on my For You page. Because the people who own those companies, they know that I care about my health and I care about my body. So that's why they advertise it to me. So if you're one of those people who struggles with lying to yourself, or you don't know where you stand in terms of like body type or how fat you are, look at the content that's being recommended to you. Are you being recommended mid-size fashion content where it's like, oh, try on haul for size 10, try on haul for size 12? Okay, that's because you are a size 10 or 12. That's why you are being advertised that. So do you want to stay that size? Because if you want to get smaller, you have to start taking on the habits of smaller people. The YouTube algorithm, you're such a big back that the YouTube algorithm literally knows that you are a size 12. The YouTube algorithm knows that you eat McDonald's every day, or Chipotle, or that you watch a whole bunch of mukbangs, or that you're keeping up with all of the soul food restaurants in your city. So that's why they're advertising it to you. So change your social media, change who you're following. Instead of keeping up with the unhealthy places, I try to keep up with like smoothie shops or coffee shops, because I love coffee, but I also love iced tea, like the healthy tea, like hibiscus tea, butterfly pea flower tea. So that's what I want on my social media. Remember, your mind is a part of your body. So I want my mind to be healthy. Healthy bodies come from healthy minds. I said what I said. Oh, well, she's naturally skinny. No, she naturally knows how to listen to her hunger cues. That's what it is. If she were to start eating 10,000 calories a day, she would gain weight. So I'm tired of people trying to use this genetic talking point like, oh, well, I'm just genetically fucked and that's why I'm obese. No, stop blaming everything on your genetics. That's a victim mentality. You have the ability to lose weight. You have the ability to gain weight. It may be harder, but it doesn't mean that it's impossible. Like, oh, I'm just fucked because, my mom was fat, my dad was fat, so now I'm just going to be fat forever. No, you're trying to use your genetics as an excuse to give up. I'm not doing that shit. I don't care if everybody in my family is fat. I'm not going to be fat because I'm not like them. I'm not average. I don't want to have an average body. I don't want to have an average medium-sized body. I'm just being honest. That's just for me. I'm not saying that you guys have to be like a size small, but for me personally, my personal body goal is to be more of like an extra small, just for me. Not saying you guys have to do that, but yeah, I don't want a large body. I don't want a large stomach Because think about it, size large, that means your body is large. So your stomach is large, your back is large, your arms are large, and that's why your size is large. So no, when I get dressed in the morning, I don't want my t-shirt to say size XL or size 2X. I feel good about myself when I put on my pants in a size tall, small, and I see that, I'm a size 4. And I see that I'm kind of going even smaller, like between a 2 and a 4. That makes me happy. So what size would make you happy? Would you be happy at a size medium or, and you can do it incrementally. So let's say you're a size 2X. Maybe you want to go down to a 1X first because, you just want to be making progress. So that size represents you making progress, but it doesn't mean that that's where you stop. And a lot of people, they get lazy. After they lose the first 10 or 15 pounds, they think, oh, I got it down. I'm good. And so they think that they can be taking on the same big back habits. And so that's why they're yo-yo dieting. And it's like, no, this is a lifestyle. This is not supposed to be something you do temporarily. That's why you're supposed to find sustainable ways for you to stay skinny. And one of those ways is by actually listening to my body and by understanding the difference between actual hunger versus dehydration versus a sugar crash. So if I have no energy, it's not necessarily that I'm hungry. It could be that I ate too much sugar or I ate too many carbs during lunch. If I have a carb-heavy lunch, I will get tired around 3 p.m. If you're tired in the afternoon, your lunch was too big. I said what I said. If you're tired at 2 p.m., 3 p.m., you ate too much during lunch. You ate like a beluga. You binged. And so now your body is trying to use all of your energy just to digest the food. So that's why you can't concentrate. That's why you don't have energy. It's not because you're hungry again. So you want to understand what's real hunger and then what is just eating the wrong foods. And so foods actually cause different symptoms. Sugar causes symptoms like acne. If you look at like dairy, that can cause symptoms like inflammation. So your stomach is bloated and bubbly and gassy. I take Lactaid actually when I am eating dairy. I don't think I'm lactose intolerant. I could be, but I've noticed that Lactaid, it just helps me to kind of digest the dairy a little bit better. So every food you eat causes different symptoms. I don't want the symptom of acne from eating too much Reese's peanut butter cups because that exact candy bar specifically gives me acne. It gives me a breakout in between my eyebrows. If I eat 2 or 3 Reese's bars in one day, I'm going to wake up in the morning with a very small, tiny breakout in between my eyebrows. So I know the symptoms of different foods. So that's another thing. Do you know what foods cause what symptoms? There are positive symptoms and negative symptoms. When I eat a lot of fruit, my skin starts glowing. My skin looks amazing, actually. When I have a whole bunch of fruit smoothies, let's say I were to have a fruit smoothie every single day for 30 days. My skin is going to be so clear. It's going to look so bright. My eyes, like the whites of my eyes, are going to look whiter and brighter. So I like to study the different reactions that my body has to those foods. So if you're tired after lunch at work, you ate the wrong lunch. Or you ate when you weren't hungry. You had too much. You had too big of a portion size. I don't care if it was a salad. I don't eat giant portion sizes just because it's a salad. Oh, it's a salad, so let me just eat like a whale. Let me just eat like a beluga because it's a salad. There is a such thing as eating in a calorie surplus on healthy foods. Again, that's what linebackers do. That's what football players do. That's what Olympians do. So if you're not competing in the Olympics or if you're not trying out for the NFL, you don't need to eat like an NFL player. A lot of people overeat on rice specifically. They're overeating brown rice. They're overeating on white rice. And sometimes people will blame it on their culture. They'll be like, oh, well, I'm Asian. Oh, well, I'm African American. So of course I'm going to eat soul food. No, you don't have to meet a stereotype of your ethnicity. Listen to your body. If you're eating and then you notice that you're satisfied, then it means stop eating. If your body's not calling for more food, if you don't feel empty, if your stomach doesn't feel empty, that means you're full. Okay, there are only 2 options. Either your stomach is empty or your stomach is full. So if you're not feeling that emptiness, like, oh, I have a bunch of air bubbles in my stomach, if you're not feeling that, it means that you're good. Because remember, food is abundant. You can always go to the store. You can stop at the gas station later and pick up some Pop-Tarts or whatever it is. Like, you don't have to eat a whole bunch of food right now because you're trying to prevent hunger later. Don't do that. Hunger is not meant to be prevented. It's meant to give you the signal on when it's time to eat. That's it. So you don't have to be scared of hunger. Like, "Oh my God, I don't know when I'm going to have my next meal." Are you kidding me? You're living in the United States of America. There's food everywhere. So you don't have to have a scarcity mindset. That's part of what made me into a beluga, was a scarcity mindset, because I'd be like, "Oh, I'm about to be working for the next 4 hours, so I don't know when I'm going to eat, so I better eat now." And it's like, okay, I was eating when I was not hungry. Anyway, what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comments section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.